I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
All right, Chelsea fans, part 2 of our match preview. It's all about predicting the lineups because, as we know, there's nothing more exciting than guessing what Frank Lampard is going to do on a match day. At least we've heard his press conference. So myself, Brandon, Dan joining me. We've got a little bit of information to work with, Dan. We talked about it in our other video, but in case you haven't checked out yet, there is some injury news, unfortunately, for Chelsea.
Well, Billy Gilmore out for the season, which is a real big bummer considering the run that he was in. Getting inclusion into the first team quite quickly as a youngster was going to be a pretty big success story. Still is a success story for the season, but out for 3 to 4 months after a knee operation. You've got N'Golo Kante, who still is out injured for this match in particular. Kovacic looks ready to return given Frank's press conference, but not the news you wanted going into this match, Brandon.
Correct. It's, getting to the end of the season, you want your best players available. And unfortunately, that is something that we aren't getting. It's also not exclusive to Chelsea. So it's not something we can, complain about and say, this isn't fair. It's not like VAR for Manchester United, right? We can't say objectively this thing helps this team way more than anybody else. It's a little different because that is objectively a thing. But Dan, as we look into the lineups for this match, Sheffield United play a very interesting version of the 3-5-2 under Wilder, overlapping center backs playing midfield, whatever. He will throw a lot of different stuff at us. So with that being said, I guess what do you think is the best lineup to kind of combat this style and this team of Sheffield United, who are again in decent form, having just beaten Wolves, drew Burnley, beaten Spurs in the last 3?
Yeah, as I look at where the lineup needs to be, I don't think I could put Jorginho right back in right away, even though we saw a little bit of upgrade when he kind of came in and helped settle us in the final few minutes of our last match. If only because what has really driven our success over the past few games is having a set of attacking eights in Barkley and Mount who can go forward, who can press, who can bring the ball up and in. And in my mind, you're keeping Kepa at the back. You're keeping James Christensen. Zuma is a lock. Azpilicueta, is going to be on that left-hand side. You have to go with Pulisic, Giroud, and Willian again. They have been fantastic, even though they are looking a little leggy, so they might get subbed a little bit earlier, depending upon what the situation is there. But if you want the Barkley and Mount in midfield, you're going with Kovacic and asking him to do a little bit more of that defensive dirty work and kind of go toe-to-toe with the Xander Berge and kind of keep him locked down. So, that's been one of the best signings, kind of winter signings that have occurred, and he's definitely brought a lot of steel to Sheffield's midfield. If you're going to put Jorginho in, it means you're sacrificing either Mount or Barkley, and both of them have been pretty crucial in the past couple matches. So I know you have a little bit of a different lineup though, Brandon.
Yeah, I think based on what Frank has done this season, I think your lineup is probably going to happen because of meritocracy, because of injuries, and because of consistency. I think that is probably our best back line, which is very important from here through the last 4 matches of the season, is consistency. Now, what I've done is just to think of something different. I thought about how we can kind of go toe-to-toe with Sheffield, and that means putting 5 in the middle. So I thought, why could Frank do a 4-2-3-1? And that would look like Kepa, Azpilicueta as right back, Christensen and Zuma as center backs, Alonso as left back. Then as my 2 holding mids is Jorginho and Reece James. Now that might shock some people, But if you didn't pay attention, Reece James played DM for Wigan and was their player of the year. He's got it in his locker. And again, that provides defensive cover to Jorginho, who we know isn't the most defensive player, or he's not the best defensive player that we have in this team. So in front of them, to complete the five in the midfield, would be Willian, Mount, and Pulisic, and then Giroud up top. So again, similar to the 4-3-3, and maybe we attack with the 4-3-3 and we defend with the 4-2-3-1. But the big change I said is, if we're being creative, maybe Frank will trust Reece to go back and slot in as a DM alongside Jorginho. Let Jorginho be the creative playmaker to find the gaps in this oddly set up Sheffield United team and go from there. So again, I don't think this is going to happen. I'm just providing an alternative because otherwise Dan and I will have the exact same formation. So Dan, I guess, what do you think at the end of the day is going to be, most likely from our standout performers?
I think the other one that we haven't talked about with the Gilmore injury is, there's a sneaking suspicion that, and confirmation from our friend Azar Cancela Gold, that Lewis Bate traveled with the team. He's a pretty talented midfielder from our academy set, is very comfortable, not just, maintaining possession of the ball, quick kind of start and stop at pace to throw defenders off, very comfortable with, shooting as well as kind of laying up some assists for players as well, and kind of models a little bit more after Conte as how he evaluates his own game. That's kind of who he's trying to track to and wanting to figure out how he becomes more like that. Frank has rolled the dice a lot of times this season, and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility where he rolls the dice here and says, you know what, I feel like this is the better setup here versus kind of playing Jorginho in. Like, I know there's going to be a set of fans who are going to want to see him come back in the lineup. I think we root for every Chelsea player to do well, and we root for Chelsea to do well at the same time. But I think Frank is going to want to take away maximum 3 points, and you get that with someone helping to anchor Barkley and Mount so that attack continue to kind of go forward. And I just don't think it's going to be Jorginho as the first name on the team sheet. But I could be wrong.
Well, you didn't predict it, so we can't give you credit if it does happen, unfortunately. But anyways, those are our lineup predictions. Put your lineups in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll have them on Instagram and Twitter at London Blue Pod as well. Look, 3 points is all we want. There's nothing more than 3 points. Big match against Sheffield United. There's only 4 matches left of the season, Chelsea fans. So after this one, we'll be back with a full review on our podcast and on YouTube. But until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.